Because, Mr. Savage, that was the day somebody tried to murder her.
Has anyone ever hit you over the head with a blackjack? That's how I felt right then.
So it's B-movie time again, and this is kind of a middling, kind of mildly diverting kind of crime story, I would say, starring Dermot Walsh. I think he's called Dermot Walsh. I never heard of him. He plays this kind of feature writer for a magazine, like a gossip magazine, and his editor gives him this unwanted job of writing a piece about this woman that was found having apparently committed suicide by gassing herself in her apartment. And his editor thinks there's a human interest story behind it and gives him the task, when the job when nobody else in the paper wants it. And he reluctantly agrees and starts looking into this woman's past. And he becomes more intrigued as it goes along, as he uncovers this kind of web of kind of deceit and corruption, kidnapping, and even murder in this kind of fast-flowing B movie that has lots of kind of back and forth in it, and quite a few characters to keep track of. But it's also got a kind of very small part by Michael Caine as a gangster, as a goon in this film. He doesn't really have any real lines, and he's off camera when he says them, but it's quite interesting to see him. This came out in 1958, and it's called A Woman of Mystery. So as I said, this is kind of a fast-flowing kind of story where he's back and forth looking into all these kind of leads, clues, meeting all these different people. He traces the woman that supposedly killed herself by gassing herself to her previous jobs in as a nightclub kind of girl, and where she was staying before in hotels and such like, and other jobs that she had. So she kind of traces that link, and he finds kind of all these kind of dodgy characters, and all this while he's kind of being followed by this kind of little scrawny little guy in glasses. Not Michael Caine, another guy with glasses.
Those initials. R.E.B. Rexworth Escort Bureau. I didn't stay around to see Lloyd come out. I had to get back to London. I had things to do, things to think about. If I hadn't, maybe I'd have noticed the thin man on the corner.
But Dermot Walsh, he's quite funny in this film because he kind of pitches himself as a kind of Philip Marlowe-esque kind of character, and we follow him as he goes from lead to lead and from location to location in this car. And it's got this ridiculously oversized trench coat, at least 3 times too big for him. You could have a bunch of badgers stuck under your coat and you'd be okay with here. It's so huge, it's ridiculous. And he also does this kind of very comical or slightly off kind of kilter kind of commentary. It's quite funny.
It was in one of these mean little streets that I found the Thurston Hotel. It was in character with the street. The sort of place where you could strangle your old grandmother in the back room, when nobody would notice.
Comes across all these kind of different kind of dodgy characters. He actually does run into Michael Caine at one point, where I don't know if it's Michael Caine that knocks him out, but he's one of 3 guys that kind of roughhouse him, and he ends up getting knocked out, and they try and bump him off, kind of rather stupidly, by actually gassing him, leave him in the room and gassing him in his own flat, which, I mean, that's not going to instill a suspicion, is it? I mean, of course it is. It's going to be, I mean, if you're going to try and get rid of him, make it look kind of, throw him off a building or something different. But I enjoyed this little B movie. It was quite fast paced, and Dermot Walsh was pretty good as the kind of Philip Marlowe kind of esque wannabe character with this ridiculously oversized trench coat that I mentioned before. He doesn't carry a gun or anything, and he does throw his fists around once or twice. But yeah, it was quite a brisk kind of story. Not really obvious where it was going or anything. A pretty kind of decent mystery. It only lasts for 67 minutes, the film, and it does go by really quickly, I thought. So yeah, not a bad little story. Woman of Mystery. I only put it on because I read that it had a very small part for Michael Caine. This must have been one of his early roles, 1958. So yeah, if you've got nothing better to do and you like British B movies, give it a watch. It's certainly not boring, this film. It does move quite quickly, and Dermot Walsh is an okay kind of lead. Apart from his hairstyle, which really kind of irked me for some reason. I don't know why, I just didn't like his hair. But yeah, not a bad little mystery, A Woman of Mystery. Not a bad little B movie, this one. That's from 1958.